not sending the horrible things, judging your strength. Well, you see if you can handle this. Wow! And people have made up silly facts about, please don't send me so much stuff. I'm not ready. It's just really hard. The bad stuff comes from the world, the flesh, and the devil. That's the big three, right? We've always done that. But then he says he will always make a way to escape. He will always be with you with wisdom, with force, with friends, with whatever it takes, so that you may be able to bear it. And of course, at the end, coming very soon, is the final joy. And Paul says, I have made a calculation that the sufferings of this present time are unworthy to be compared with the joy that's coming. These light afflictions, he says. Now, he's a man who was beaten by the Romans several times. And when the Romans beat you, they did a pretty thorough job. He was stoned and left for dead. He was shipwrecked. He said, oh, these light afflictions aren't worthy to be compared with what's coming. So I don't think your afflictions are quite that bad. Now, it's not that I don't sympathize with you. I do. I have my troubles, you have yours. But God is with us in all of them. He will never leave you, never forsake you. Now that's very, very important. Jesus said in Matthew 28, just before he ascended into heaven, told his disciples what to do. Here's a big job for you. I want you to go out, and wherever you go in the world, wherever you go, make disciples of all men. Now I don't know how many of you have ever made a disciple for Jesus. But that is the Great Commission. That is what he has asked of us while we're still in the world. He says, make disciples. Make disciples of all men. And then he said, I'm with you always. Even to the close of the age. So he is with you always. Whenever you feel that things are a little tough, remember that Jesus is saying in your ear, I'm with you always. Just keep tuned in. You know, the radio that you carry with you isn't going to give you any music unless you turn it on. Well, Jesus is with you always, but you have to kind of tune in. Now, there's a question about whether this is one that people have asked me. Well, is he in the church when there's nobody else in the church? I hear that a lot. My father said no. My father said, listen, at midnight, you have to remember he was talking some time ago. He said, at midnight, this church is as deserted as any garage or dance hall. Those are the two places where God certainly wasn't at that time. This is a long time ago. Or nightclub. There are times when God may go to those places. But that's one view. Another view is, oh no, he's here. His presence is here because we've prayed for it. Every pew has been laid hands on, prayed for. All the places where you're sitting. Pastors of the past have done it. Visiting pastors have done it. We pray that his presence can be felt. There are some denominations of Christians, some groups of Christians who believe that you can bless these things by putting holy water on them, and then the pew is blessed. You can bless all sorts of things that way. Well, I'm certainly not going to say God can't do that. But I don't know. But it's not the same as his presence is here right now. There's one thing that does trouble me about some of those traditions. They say that God's presence is here in a very special way. Roman Catholics and Greek Orthodox, but particularly Roman Catholics, say his presence is in the church in a very special box. There's a box up in the front of the church that God is in. And they call it the monstrance, or the ostensorium. And they make it very fancy and decorated. I saw one in the cathedral in Toledo, in Spain, a monstrance, which they carry through the streets on special feast days. And it is decorated with a marvelous piece of intricate jewelry, 10 feet tall, according to the Catholic Encyclopedia. 8 feet tall, according to some other authority. With 500 pounds of silver, made out of solid silver. When I was there in Toledo, the guide said it was 700 pounds of silver, but guides are allowed to exaggerate a little bit. But the difference between 500 pounds of silver and 700 pounds of silver isn't significant for me personally. And then the silver is gold-plated with 24 pounds, according to the guide. 18 pounds, according to the Catholic Encyclopedia. 18 pounds of solid gold over 500 pounds of silver. This amazing thing, 10 feet tall, 8 or 10 feet tall. And it's all designed to glorify the box, which is in it, which has Jesus in it. And that's up at the front of the church, which is why everyone who walks into the church, I don't know why it is just in the aisles, but when you come into the aisle, if you cross the aisle, you have to kneel to the box. Now, when you're walking from here to here, you don't have to kneel, but if you're walking from here to here, you have to kneel. Somehow, there must be something down the aisle that make you kneel. Now that bothers me, because God is in you. And to make the God in you bow down to a box seems wrong. I would like to emphasize for people that God is in you and God is in your neighbor. If you want to bow to God, bow every time you see your neighbor. C.S. Lewis says, your neighbor is the holiest object that will ever appear before your eyes. Because God is in your neighbor, your Christian neighbor, your brother and sister in Christ. Well, God is where He chooses to be.